Thanks for tuning in to Ascension 17 with Cynthia Clark, love and ascension coach, author, and healer. This show is to empower starseeds to ascend and become their infinite light. We'll be discussing all sorts of spiritual topics for your vibrational nourishment. This podcast is sponsored by Ascension17.com, the place to find ascension tools and community. Hello, starseeds and beautiful beings of light, and welcome to the show today. I'm really excited to be here, and I had something else planned, and I decided to just open up to the mystery of the universe, because today that is what I am being prompted to share with you. So it's funny how life takes its little twists and turns, isn't it? We just never know where our journey is going to go. And sometimes it leads us into places that we never could have imagined. So I want to give a little backstory to today's lesson because this has happened to me. And I would like to share with you some of my experiences in the great mystery. So I was prompted to start taking private pilot lessons and learn to become a pilot. And this just recently happened, and I've only been taking lessons now for a few weeks. And now I am wanting to openly share it with you because I honestly wasn't sure if I was going to keep going or not. But the universe has a way of nudging us, right? And sometimes we may think that we're going in the right direction, or we're doing the right thing, or this is what I'm supposed to be doing, or it's only supposed to work out this way or that way, or we have in our mind a set expectation, and that expectation creates a judgment. So if it works out, we're happy, we think, oh yeah, this is exactly how it was supposed to be. But if it doesn't work out, then we judge ourselves usually harshly, or we judge the situation harshly. And that sets up a disappointment. And then we think that there's something wrong with us, or, we think maybe we're stupid, or I don't get it. Why didn't this work out? And this is a lesson that we're here to learn. So part of the ascension process, of course, is learning lessons. But it doesn't mean that it has to be unpleasant, right? It doesn't mean that it has to be something that we judge or have expectations about all the time. So learning to fly has been quite a challenge for me. And I'm flying in a very small plane. It's a Cessna 172. So it's a 4-seater, and my instructor, he is very good and patient with me. And we fly out of Prescott, Arizona, which is a very good training airport. It's actually quite busy because there's students literally everywhere, and we're all taking off and landing, and there's all kinds of stuff going on. And they also have a tower. I recently learned that not all airports have towers. So a lot of airports, like Sedona, for example, where I live, it does not have a tower. So you have to learn to fly into airports that either do have a tower or do not have a tower. And I've also been learning about weather. I've been learning about mechanics. My instructor took me into the hangar to actually look at the engine of the plane. And for all of you who know me, I'm not exactly mechanical. And so this was this was quite the eye opener for me. It's like, oh my goodness, do I have to know, how an engine works in order to fly a plane? And the answer is yes. Apparently, you do have to learn stuff like that. And the reason is because if you have some sort of emergency, you need to be familiar with the functions of the plane so that you can hopefully get yourself out of that emergency without killing yourself. So, so isn't that an interesting way to look at things? Um, but it's opening up a whole new part of my brain that you know, I think it's just been dormant, or maybe it was activated in a past life or something. But it's definitely been it's interesting how the universe works, and sometimes we get prompted to do something that is completely a left turn, right? These left turns I talk about, or pivots, as I also talk about, when we are going clearly down one path and we think that's the path we're supposed to be taking, and then something happens and suddenly we are put into a different path. And that can be easy or hard. We can take ourselves out of the path. For example, starting these flight lessons, this was something I chose to do. It wasn't something that was forced on me by any means, but I did know it was going to be challenging, and I knew it was going to be a lot of work. Just to get a private pilot's license, on average, takes about 5 to 6 months. So, and that's being very consistent in your training. So that gave me some parameters, and some people take longer and some people take shorter, depending on how their brain works and how how quick they get it. But the point is, we're all on this ascension pathway, but we all have a unique pathway to take, and we have choices that we can make too for ourselves. And sometimes those choices may seem odd or unrelated, but they end up helping us in ways that we can't possibly fathom. So I want you to start thinking about your life, and I want you to start thinking about things that maybe are not working in your life. Maybe something is frustrating you, or maybe you have a fear, or some kind of anxiety. Ask yourself, what can I do that is different than anything I've currently been doing? And maybe it's just something that you've always wanted to do, right? Um, Maybe you've always wanted to take a trip to Paris, for example. I had a client actually who was like that. She adored Paris, and that was something we had in common, actually. So I was it was easy for me to relate to that. But anyway, it took her years before she actually went to Paris, and it took her years to save up, and it was something she always wanted to do. And once she finally got to go, it opened up another part of her energy. It opened up some past life memories for her. It opened up some familiarity, some comfort. And I believe she had a breakthrough from that experience. And just like with flying, sometimes it's scary to get out into the unknown and to actually try something new, or maybe there's something out there that you haven't even imagined you could do. And what if you imagined you could do it? What if you actually thought, hey, maybe I can do this? Another thing that I like to do in my life is weight train. And I have been working now with a trainer for a little over a year. And growing up in my family, we honestly were not encouraged to exercise. Okay, so I came from a family of intellectuals who would much rather spend the afternoon reading or studying or doing something like that. But to get out and actually, do some exercise, that was not, favored. The first time I ever went skiing, I had to actually beg my parents to let me go because their immediate response was, "You're just going to get injured." But if we live our lives in fear like that and we never even try, even though it's something that could be fun and could really enrich our lives. And skiing has definitely been one of those things that's totally changed my life around. But now I always tell people you got to give it at least 6 lessons before you decide you hate it, because a lot of people hate it the first time. I mean, it's cold. You probably don't have the proper equipment. You probably don't have the proper way of dressing, and you're cold. Maybe it's windy and snowing, and you know, there's a lot of things that might not be so comfortable when you're out skiing. But if you have the proper clothing and you have the proper instructor and you have the patience to go through the learning curve, because that's all part of the pathway, is you can't expect to be an expert after one lesson. That life doesn't work like that. We are here to progress in our own pace. Some people pick stuff up really quickly and easily, and other people don't. And maybe you've given it 6 times or 7 times and you decided you hate it, you hate skiing or hate snowboarding. And that's great. It's certainly not for everyone. Just like flying is not for everyone, but it can be very rewarding to actually give yourself an opportunity to grow. And the Ascension Pathway really is for those people who are committed to growing, committed to expanding their consciousness, exploring different states of consciousness, exploring what quantum physics teaches us. How are we living in an illusion? How is this a holographic universe? How do my thoughts and feelings expand? And how can I help them to expand more? These are the things that I like to teach people at Ascension 17. It's like if you don't know, you don't know what you don't know, right? But once you do know, boy, a whole new world opens up. And, that's one of the reasons why I'm taking these pilot lessons. Because now I realize that there's a whole new world opening up to me in general aviation. And once I do get my license, there's going to be no limits to my traveling like I've had previously. A lot of us didn't travel last year for obvious reasons. But I'm one of those people. I mean, I'm a Sagittarius. I love to travel. And we are the global travelers of the zodiac. So if you're a Sagittarius out there, you know what I mean. So when we look at this concept of ascension and, where are we all heading? And I do believe everybody is going somewhere by 2029. This is the timeline of Earth's ascension. According to my meditations, according to my subconscious, according to my dreams, I do believe that there will be a solar flash in 2029 where we will all be going somewhere. Those who are on the ascension path are going to be ascending into the 5th dimension, and those who are not ascending will be repeating their 3rd density cycle somewhere else. But we're all moving. The Earth is also ascending. So the way that we are living right now on Earth is not going to be the same. Everything is actually going to be changing. So this is why it's so important for you to start thinking about this right now. We only have a limited amount of time. We've got maybe 8 years at the most to be ready for this. And I don't want you to be at the end of that 8 years going, well, I'm not ready. Why aren't you ready? Because you haven't done the work. Okay, so it's that simple. If you are listening to this show, then hey, you're probably on the timeline. But there's things that we need to do in order to get there. And one of those things is learning our lessons and actually being able to raise that vibrational consciousness that we have. So I would encourage you for this week, just for this week, take a look at your life and ask yourself, what is it that I can do that is new or unknown? And that might very well open up something inside of you. It might just unlock something. For me, it's this flying stuff, which is, to be honest, I'm still a little bit overwhelmed with the whole thing because there's so much to learn. Just talking to the tower, for example, you can't just like call up and say, hey, tower. It doesn't work like that. There's a way to do everything. There's a way to check your plane before you even, pull out of the hangar. So we have checklists in pilot training for everything. And you got to look at the weather. You got to look at your flight plan. You got to know where you're going. You've got to analyze the risks and the rewards, right? So some days you don't fly. Some days it's snowing and you realize that, hey, it's not worth trying to go up there if my wings are going to be icing up, because that's going to create drag, which is going to really hinder my ability to fly the plane. So some days are like that. And if you're forced inside, go meditate, go turn inward, go tune in to that small little voice inside your head and ask it, what does it want to know? What does it want you to know? And, just be in flow with life, empower yourself every single day. When those left turns get thrown at you, instead of becoming very unstable and unbalanced, how do you regain your balance? And that's where this ascension training really comes in handy. And it's so valuable. So anyway, thank you for listening today. I really appreciate you. And I will keep you posted on my flight lessons, because this is definitely way out of my comfort zone. And I haven't really challenged myself like this in quite a long time. So I will keep you posted on how it's going and the progression and everything. And I invite you to go to ascension17.com if you're interested. We do have a free training on Ascension, taking the first step in Ascension. You can learn all about it, and you can start to actually practice some of the processes that I teach. So I invite you to join, and it's totally free to join the free video series that I'm offering. And I hope to catch you again next week. We'll see what I end up talking about. Like I said, today's talk was totally unplanned, but life is a mystery, right? And we got to be open to the mystery of life. And just remember that you are a blessing. You are an infinite being of light. You chose to be here, and you were also chosen to be here. So remember to embrace that and embrace your infinite light. And I'll catch you again next week. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening to Ascension 17. Please rate, review, and subscribe to show your support. Have a question for Cynthia? Just post a comment. This podcast is sponsored by Ascension17.com, the place that empowers starseeds to ascend and become their infinite light. Want to discover the most important step in Ascension and how to take it? Sign up for free at Ascension17.com.